Chapter 13 Grandma on the Warpath. Warden Ollie was impatient. "It's high time you folks get back here," he wrote. "I've been watching for word from you every day. You so messed up with them raccoons that you forget your other friends? Grandma Honkers wants you, so come along. And if you come without Sonya, I'll send you back. I sure fell for that young'un." So it wasn't long until we were on our merry way to Warden Ollie's cabin camp with the X. Merry, that is, all except for Dorothy. "Do you suppose Grandma will remember me?" she worried. "I haven't a single piece of jewelry on today, except my wedding ring. Surely Grandma wouldn't want that." The warden wasn't at home when we arrived, but we found him in the midst of a young riot at the next cabin beyond. Four irate women stood facing him, waving their arms wildly, all talking at once. It was clear that Ollie was having his troubles. Grandma Honker, just behind him, was trying constantly to get around him to the left or the right, or through his legs toward the quartet of ladies. One moment Ollie gestured and talked to the women. The next, he had to catch Grandma and pull her back. And the next, he held his hands to his ears and shut out the wild ranting and screaming. "What's going on?" Jenny asked as we watched the scene from the car. "Those ladies are angry." "That's putting it mildly," I replied, as there was a new outburst of yelling and arm waving from the group. "If I'm not mistaken, Grandma Honker is in trouble, or at least she's stirred up some." We could hear Ollie's voice now rising above the storm. Wait a minute," he yelled. Grandma sneaked around his right side and he grabbed her and pulled her back. Then she went around the left side and he barely caught her in time. Then he got straddled of her and held her tightly between his legs. "Here, go ahead in there and take this," we heard him shout. He drew some money from his pocket and gave it to the women. They took it in a snatchy sort of way and, throwing a few more vocal volleys at him, went inside the cabin. Ollie busied himself with Grandma. A moment later, the four ladies burst out of the cabin, suitcases in hand, and with tempers subdued. They got into their car, which stood nearby, slammed the doors so hard it sounded like four gunshots, and drove by us with their engine roaring and low, too mad even to shift the gears. As they passed our car, one of the four rolled down a window and yelled back at Ollie, "And we're never coming back, understand?" At this point, Grandma broke loose from Ollie. With wings slapping the ground, she took out after the car, squawking in goose fashion. The departing ladies then shifted into high gear and sped down the road. Warden Ollie saw us now and came forward, mopping his brow. "Howdy, folks," he said as we piled out of the car. "Mighty glad to see you. You got here in time to see the commotion, didn't you?" He greeted us all, cast an approving glance at Dorothy's attire, and took the willing Sonia in his long arms. "I've been mighty lonesome for this tyke since you left. Grandma has been asking for you in her own honkin' way." Grandma had given up the chase and turned her attention to Ollie's cat, asleep on the back steps of his cabin. Right that moment, the old goose was approaching the cat slowly, her long neck arched low. We all watched in silence. Nearer and nearer she stretched and stretched until she gave the cat's tail a good nip. "Yow!" screamed the cat and jumped right up in the air. Then she looked reproachful at the goose, and her tail switched ominously. Grandma strutted away, looking for more worlds to disturb. "Now, Ollie, what was going on?" I asked. We thought we might have to come to your rescue. Well, guess I can't blame the ladies for being mad, really. He stroked his whiskers and looked at Grandma, who was just disappearing around the house. You see, Grandma Hunker had one of her bad days. She don't aim to cause trouble. She just can't control herself. He stared after the goose, and then he looked over to the cabin where the scene had taken place. Those go-ahead ladies writ up and reserved the cabin, he went on. Wanted to stay all this month. Said they liked animals, and heard they could see a lot of them here. Well, I go ahead in there and fix up my best cabin for 'em, and they moved. That was last night. Everything seemed all right at first. I saw them down by the lake this morning, looking at the sunrise. Heard 'em talking to Grandma, and they was all a laughing. So I goes to town for a few supplies. Whew! Ollie wiped his brow at recollections. Guess I stayed longer than I should have, he went on. Got to talking to my buddies, and time slipped by so's I just got back half an hour ago. And old go ahead. He said these go aheads with gestures. First he held his head in his hands and waved both arms in helplessness. I heard women screaming at me before I got out of my jalopy. Ollie continued. I looked at their cabins, and I wish you could have seen what I saw. Ah, go ahead in there. He broke out in laughing, and so we did. Here was Grandma strutting up and down like a guard at Buckingham Palace. She was so wrought up, she was a dragging her wings like when she goes into flight, just inside the front porch. Afraid to open the screen door was them four ladies, all screaming at me to go ahead and save him. Warden Ollie broke into a laugh that doubled him up. What happened, Ollie? Asked Dorothy. His merriment was infectious. We were all straining for his full story. I don't know everything that went on before I got there, Ollie said. Maybe it's just a good I don't. As is, they threatened to go ahead and sue me. Well, I went over to their cabin feeling like I was walking into a trap. Grandma was so riled up she hardly spoke to me. She was trying to get at them women in the porch. The ladies was all talking at once, so I couldn't get everything they said. But it seems that soon after I left for town, one of the ladies went outdoors. She was wearing a red bracelet. Dorothy nodded understandingly. Yep, you're getting the idea, Warden Ollie chuckled. The ladies had been getting along right good with Grandma, so they felt kind of confident. But Grandma was taken with the bracelets, and she starts in that cute way of her getting it. The lady who was wearing it didn't want to give it up. Sort of selfish. So Grandma took matters into her own hands. I know that all too well, Dorothy said. Yep. Ollie looked at her, his eyes twinkling, but he was decent about it. These ladies go ahead in there and got 4 hunks of old firewood and set it to fight Grandma. One of the ladies hurls a chunk of wood at Grandma, but her aim wasn't good, and she hits another lady right on her pet corn. Anyway, they did a lot of yelping, and Grandma never been used to such carrying on. So she got in a huff and sailed into all 4 of them. Go ahead on in there. And I'd give my best boots to see it. Ollie was holding his sides. Grandma disarmed him in a hurry. Those 4 hunks of wood are right there now where the women threw 'em. And then they retreated double time into the cabin. There the old gal stayed, with Grandma strutting up and down daring anyone or all of them to go ahead and come out and fight. Warden Ollie was laughing so hard he could hardly talk, and so were we. Well, they should have been glad, Jenny finally managed to say. No one was hurt, and you came to the rescue. Nope, nothing hurt except the lady's feeling and Grandma's pride, the big woodsman went on. I came, but I didn't come just as soon as the ladies thought I should have. Grandma Honker locked 'em up long about 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go ahead and get back till 2 in the afternoon. She had 'em in that cabin for 5 hours, and they'd be there yet if I hadn't come. Well, I gave 'em back all their rent, and now they go someplace where no goose will bother them. Look. He directed our attention to the guest cabin. There was Grandma, looking angrily at the screen porch that had so recently been a prison. Sticking her long neck out, she gave one prolonged, loud hiss and strutted on. Did you hear what the ladies said to you when they left? Dick said. Asked. No, couldn't make out anything they said, Ollie answered. One called, and we're never coming back. Well, said Ollie, with a twinkle and a wink, that will be soon enough for Grandma and me. We had a wonderful afternoon at Warden Ollie's sanctuary. His animals were in fine form. Grandma Honker came back, her disposition entirely mended. She recognized Dorothy. Deliberately, the goose looked on her wrist for bracelets, on her throat for a necklace, at her ears for earrings. Finding none, she accepted some corn from Dorothy's fingers, and all was forgotten and forgiven. The goose took to following Sonia, much to her delight. If you was around here much, Ollie said to her parents, pretty soon you'd have to ask Grandma's permission to go near your own daughter. Mike and Ike the otters put on a show for us, after asking us to stay back so there would not be too many people. Ollie led Sonia out to his pier where the two otters were sunbathing. He had her sit with her feet hanging down from the pier, and he sat beside her. As soon as the two were seated, Mike and Ike half slid, half walked right into their laps. Sonia squealed with obvious delight. She likes you, Sonia, said Ollie. Mike's a wonderful animal, always in good humor, never gets upset, except when Grandma bites her tail. Are they fish eaters? Dick asked as we walked out to them on Ollie's invitation. Maybe. Sometimes otters might eat fish, Ollie said, but not often. Matter of fact, the otter is one of the best friends fish have. He is crawfish, and crawfish destroys lots of fish. And the other otter eats frogs and bloodsuckers and even turtles, all enemies of fish. He patted Ike, who was affectionately pushing her nose into his whiskers. Otters should be more appreciated by men. They're all on our side. Is this what you meant, Mr. Ollie, when you said you would show us something we wouldn't believe? Sonia looked as if her fondest dream had already come true as she petted these slender, graceful animals. I guess I did. Go ahead and promise that, didn't I? Ollie smiled at her. I wondered if you'd remember. Nope, had something else in mind. I'll show you. If we kind of get rid of these scamps. Come on, Mike and Ike. Go for a swim before Grandma gets you. The two otters reluctantly left the laps of Sonia and Ollie and plunged into the water. Swimming gracefully, they disappeared down the shoreline. Now we all watched Ollie to see what the big surprise he had for us. That thing which we wouldn't believe. He enjoyed keeping us mystified. You won't believe it, I tell you, and nobody'll believe it when you tell it, he said. He asked us to stay at the base of the pier and walked to the end. Here he gave a prolonged whistle, followed by a call. Oh ho, Jim! Come, Jim! Our curiosity aroused. We watched the surface of the water in the sky overhead to see what would answer the summons. Again and again, Ollie gave the whistle and call. Presently, he said, Here he comes. Go ahead and get ready, folks. We hadn't seen a living thing as yet, but Ollie insisted. He's coming. Out toward the center of the lake, I saw a swirl in the water, such as a fish makes when it leaps. Ollie called again, then reached down into a tin can and took out a few worms. Watch close, folks, he called. This show won't last long. He tossed several worms into the water beyond the pier. To my utter amazement, I saw the form of a huge fish come and get them. Would you believe it? Jenny exclaimed. What kind of fish is it? A muskellunge, I declared. Ollie was reaching down from the pier toward the water, holding some worms in his fingers. The muskellunge swam back and forth below his hands several times, his great form plainly visible in the clear water. That fellow must weigh 35 pounds, said Dick, an experienced fisherman. He's the fiercest game fish in these waters. I can hardly believe this. Then came the climax of Ollie's exposition. The muskellunge reached its head out of the water and took the worms from Ollie's fingers. Ollie was cautious. He kept the offering at the tips of his fingers and dropped the worm as the big fish got near his hand. The muskellunge's teeth are sharp as saws, and he might have difficulty in knowing where the worm left off and Ollie's fingers began. Easy there, Jim, Ollie was saying. Don't get rambunctious. You got company today, so behave yourself. This is your appetizer. Now, next comes your dinner. Ollie took a package from his pocket in which were food scraps saved from his cupboard. The big fish swirled about, waiting. Then he whipped the surface of the water into waves and eddies as he gathered up every last crumb Ollie tossed to him. The meal finished, Jim headed speedily for distant places. Near the middle of the lake, he broke water as if in high glee. Attaboy, Jim, yelled Ollie. Go ahead, show 'em what you can do. Then the tall old man drew himself up proudly and turned to us. Believe it? He asked. Ollie, I wouldn't believe it if I saw anyone else do it, I said. Of you and animals, I would believe anything. Amazing, Dorothy said. Sonia just walked up and took hold of Ollie's hand. When I tell my friends that I saw a muskie come when it was called, Dick said, I expect they'll have people chasing me with butterfly nets. Just don't tell where you saw it, Ollie requested. Some kind of old so-called sportsman would like nothing better than to catch Jim. Grandma strutted by now and took Sonia's attention. Ollie looked at Dorothy. How you getting along now, lady? He asked. Oh, fine, she replied, puzzled at his question. I don't mean your health, Ollie said. I mean how you doing about animals. Are you getting rid of your fears? Dorothy flashed a look at him. It isn't easy, Warden Ollie, she said, but I'm trying, and I believe I'm making progress. Good for you, he declared. Nice thing is you want to do something about it. You know, lady, he said seriously, you don't love animals just for Sonia, and not just for the animals. It's mighty important for your own sake. That's old human heart. He touched its chest with his fingers. Or it ever built for fear or hate, you know. Mighty bad for us when we use it that way. It's all shaped and built for love, and you'll be a much happier woman if you go ahead and love everything. I'll go ahead in there and do that, Dorothy affirmed. Go ahead, and they're good for you, Ollie laughed. But tell me, Warden Ollie, It was almost desperation in Dorothy's voice. Did you always like animals? Didn't you have to learn to like them? Ollie was startled at the question. He was silent for a time, his eyes taking on a faraway look. Then his whiskers moved about, the outward evidence of a smile beneath. There's a story about that, he said. I'll tell it to you sometime, if you want. But we had to wait for that until our next visit.